Good afternoon, welcome back to another Coastie Explores. We are out and about on the Kowloon side of Hong Kong today, and today's episode is number 2 in our past and present episodes. Now, today we're going to be walking down one of the most famous streets this side of Hong Kong Harbour, and that is Boundary Street. And in order to find out more about the history of the street, the buildings still there, and the buildings that were there many years ago, we need to head down to the Kowloon Walled City to sort of set the story. Let's go. And here we are, the Kowloon Walled City Park. Now, in order to start the episode, we need to know why it was called Boundary Street in the first place. And this building here, which was an old building called a Yarman, which was an officer working for the Qing government, and he was dealing in salt in this area, making sure the imports and exports and all the taxes were being paid here in Hong Kong from this building just behind me. Now, in 1841, when Hong Kong was forcibly taken by the British in the first of the unequal treaties in the First Opium War, they took Hong Kong Island. Just the island, nowhere else. And then, in order to secure the harbour against aggression from other people, they went to war for many other reasons as well. That led to the Second Opium War. And then in 1860, this part of Hong Kong, the Kowloon Peninsula, just north of the harbour, was given in perpetuity to the British. A line was drawn at the top of the Kowloon Peninsula that formed the border between British Hong Kong and the Chinese territory. At the time, there was a bamboo fence put up, erected, right across to show the boundary between the two government parts. It wasn't until the 1930s when they really started to build a road here, and the prominent road that is Boundary Street that we see today, with lots of buildings, lots of old buildings still thankfully, is just a few hundred metres down the road. So I thought we'd start at this building. Do check it out. This is the Kowloon Walled City, and we will be back because it has a very, very interesting past. On that note, if you do want to find out more about the changing borders here in Hong Kong, do check out my Hong Kong's Historical Borders episode. I'll put it in the link up there or down there. We've just made it across the road to the very aptly named South Wall Road here. And this is Kowloon City, also known as Thai Town. So I'm quite a regular visitor here, being married to a lady from Chiang Mai. So we come here quite a lot for our grocery shopping. It's got all the things that she needs, whether it's fruit, veg, packets, pastes, bottles, whatever it is, and you're guaranteed a really good Thai meal. We'll come back and do a Thai special from here one day. But if you like Thai food, get yourself down to Kowloon City here on the Kowloon Peninsula. But I'm not having Thai food today. No. I have Thai food every day, so this is my day off, and I'm going to find some local Cantonese breakfast food here to fill up my stomach to walk the full length of Boundary Street. So let's see if we can find a good Cantonese local restaurant. And this is the one that's been recommended, the Ngan restaurant. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but my Cantonese is not great. Let's hope the food is great though, so we'll head inside. Now, this isn't a food channel. If you do want to check out some food in Hong Kong, check out Hong Kong Eats with Sam, and also check out Humid with a chance of fish balls. Two good YouTubers doing great stuff here with food. So let's go in and see what they got for breakfast. Okay, the food has arrived, and you might as well over-order when you're in Hong Kong. So what have we got? Well, you get a nice free glass of steaming hot water. I went for the local coffee. Not bad, but a bit of an acquired taste. And then, if we have a little look down here, we've got the French toast with peanut butter inside with butter on top. Saw that first in Macau a few years ago. Loved it. I think they've got it all over Hong Kong too. And then this is the famous pork chop bun. It's got like a nice, almost like Thousand Island dressing on it with some tomatoes and lettuce. Far too much food. I'm going to be bloated and full as I walk down Boundary Street, but hey, here goes, while in Hong Kong, eh? Lovely. See you in a bit. Eating food can be messy in Hong Kong, and not everywhere provides serviettes and napkins, so always bring a packet of tissues with you. Top tip for today, bring tissues when you're in Hong Kong. Thank you. And there it is, a good Cantonese breakfast, all for exactly $11 US, and that was with 2 mains and a coffee, so that's very good. Right, we're just going to walk 50 meters to find the end of Boundary Street. And it's here where we start our journey. We're at the eastern end of Boundary Street. Now, very unusual road this, because it joins with another big road, Prince Edward Road, which starts at this traffic light here. Prince Edward sort of takes a southerly route, and Boundary Street heads west. Behind me is the old Kai Tak Airport that many of you will remember well. That's now being redeveloped, and a new big stadium is going in there. And Boundary Street starts right here, where it forks off with Prince Edward Street, Prince Edward Road, should I say, named after King Edward VIII, who visited here in 1922 on a visit. So, let's walk along Boundary Street. Join me. Running perpendicular to the start where these two roads meet is Junction Road. What else would you call a road that runs perpendicular to 2 major roads? Junction Road. Now, we're just in the middle here where the 2 roads start to fork off, and right opposite is our first place that I'd like to look at, because right opposite is a building now called Lee's Mansion. But back in the late 1800s, this land was purchased by a Chinese man called Mr. Ahwee. And Mr. Ahwee had gone to Jamaica, made his fortune in the 1870s and 1880s, and returned to Hong Kong. He then purchased this plot of land with his young wife, and they had a couple of cows. And then it started to grow from there into a profitable business. So let's find out more about what was on this site back 130, 140 years ago.
As I said, to ensure his family had fresh milk, Albert Ahwee kept a few dairy cows. Eventually, he decided to sell the milk, choosing a location just north of the Kowloon-China boundary, well before the British lease of the new territories in 1898. By that time, Albert had already constructed some buildings for a dairy farm on his land, which entitled him to lease it when the British took control. In 1902, he received a backdated lease for 2 large agricultural lots, where he built Albert Villa as his residence and established what would later be known as the Kowloon Dairy. The Kowloon Dairy is still around today and is one of Hong Kong's beloved brands. take a sip of milk next time you're in Hong Kong.
So for, 38 years, this was the boundary of British Hong Kong and the Qing dynasty in mainland China. A bamboo fence ran all the way down to here, and there were border guards at certain places just to protect from pirates and people coming in, but no such British forts along the border here. And in 1898, obviously things changed when Britain acquired on a lease for 99 years the new territories, which meant everything on this side of the boundary, right up until now, what is modern Shenzhen, became British governed land for 99 years. There we go. We're now on the corner of Salle Road, and I know this road because it's got my favourite old building of all time that's no longer here that I would have loved to have seen. But before we investigate that, let's check out this Queen Elizabeth postbox here. Now, I did a three-part history of the postbox and postal service here in Hong Kong, so do check out my series. I'll put it in the link up there and below. This is a Queen Elizabeth one, which means it's post 1952. Post, if you get it. They're now painted green, and many of them are still here, many still from before Queen Elizabeth as well. We've got some Queen Victoria ones in museums and the postal office in town, and we've got some dotted all over from King Edward, and who else have we got? George V, lots of George V ones, so do check out my postbox episode. There we go, Queen Elizabeth postbox. Right, let's find out about a wonderful school that used to be on the corner here of Salle Road.
In 1928, the LaSalle brothers purchased a plot of land in Kowloon, laying the groundwork for what would become the largest boys' school in Hong Kong at the time. The school officially opened its doors in 1932, featuring an impressive building crowned with a large dome that captured the admiration of all who saw it. The foundation stone was laid by Sir William Peel, then Governor of Hong Kong, on November 5th, 1930. Initially, the school served a diverse student body, with around one-third of its students having European heritage, predominantly Portuguese. The outbreak of World War II brought turmoil to LaSalle College. In 1939, the school was repurposed as an internment camp for Germans and later transformed into a British military hospital following Japan's invasion. During the Japanese occupation, it served as a Japanese hospital before returning to military use after the war. Despite these challenges, the school continued to operate, with classes temporarily relocated across the street. Notably, martial arts legend Bruce Lee attended LaSalle from 1951 to 1956, although he was on a different campus due to military occupation. His academic struggles led to a transfer to St. Francis College. In contrast, though, his brother Peter Lee excelled at LaSalle and later taught fencing at the school, representing Hong Kong in the 1958 British Empire and Commonwealth Games. By the late 1970s, the original building had suffered from neglect due to military use and was deemed functionally inadequate. Consequently, it was demolished to make way for a new structure, which was inaugurated by Sir Murray MacLehose in 1978. LaSalle College's architectural beauty and historical significance continue to inspire awe today. From its humble beginnings to its transformation through adversity and growth, LaSalle remains a cornerstone of education in Hong Kong, nurturing generations of students and adapting to the needs of modern education while honouring its storied past.
And as we head back down to Boundary Street, what I didn't know was this little street, this little alleyway here is called the Bruce Lee Way. A little pathway that goes up and around. There we go. Signs that Bruce Lee was in these parts many years ago. Let's keep going. Now we're approaching a very busy intersection here with Waterloo Road. And on the corner of Waterloo Road and Boundary Street is Maryknoll School. Beautiful old school that's still around today. Still a school, thriving, doing well. One of our best schools here in Hong Kong. One of the site staff at my school, Yvonne, her daughter goes there. So let's give it up to all the site staff members who work so hard to keep our schools working every day, whether you call them cleaners, site staff workers, caretakers, whatever it is. Let's give them a big round of applause for the job you do. Well done, you. Right, let's find out more about the Maryknoll Convent School.
In the 1860s and 70s, British infantry were stationed on a small hill adjacent to the site of what we now see as Maryknoll Convent School. Their mission was to protect against bandit attacks from the nearby hills. Fast forward to 1925, when the school first opened on Austin Road, before locating to its current site in 1937. The cornerstone of the main building was laid by Sir Andrew Caldecott, the Governor of Hong Kong, in 1936, marking the beginning of its prominence as a local landmark. In those early days, students brought their lunches from home, delivered by their armours, local caregivers. This practice gave rise to the name the Armour Shelter, where armours would gather and wait for the girls. During World War II, from 1942 to 1945, like most prominent buildings here in Hong Kong, the school served a different purpose as a Japanese military hospital. The school complex reflects several different styles of architecture, including Art Deco, Romanesque, Neo-Georgian and Gothic Revival.
Now we are crossing Waterloo Road there and in the borough. Great word, isn't it, borough? We don't have boroughs here in Hong Kong, but let's call it the borough of Kowloon Tong. And I made a video here recently, had a tennis match just up the road, and all these streets to the north of me here all have English county names. So we've got Lincoln Road, Essex Crescent, Oxford Road, Cambridge, Cornwall, Devon. They're all up there named, and that's because this area north of Boundary Street in the 1930s was sort of designed on an English garden theme with low rises, so still one of the most affluent parts of Hong Kong, certainly this side of the harbour. Right, let's continue on. Not that I drive here in Hong Kong, but there you go. There's my first petrol station officially on Coastie Explores. We do have them here. Not everyone needs a car, of course, because the public transport is so darn good, but just catch the MTR, buses, minibuses, double-decker buses, boats. Everything here is awesome in Hong Kong. And here's another petrol station. And here is Cumberland Road. So if you go up Cumberland Road, all the street names up there are mainly English towns and cities. There's a few from Wales and from Scotland, but mainly English ones. Now, you're saying to me, Coastie, when is a straight road not a straight road? Well, the answer is when it's got a kink in it. And just here, as we approach the Kowloon Canton Old Railway Bridge, we're going to see a kink in the road. But unfortunately, all that traffic is blocking it. So let's get a bit closer. And here it is, the only kink in the road. This is where it goes under the old Kowloon Canton Railway Bridge, which is now the East Rail line that goes up from, well, it goes all the way from Hong Kong Island now up to the border at Lo Wu and Lok Ma Chau, where you can go across into the mainland. The bridge predates Boundary Street, hence why there is a kink in the road. This bridge is from the early 20th century, around 1909, 1910, when the line was first put in, and the rest of Boundary Street, late 1920s, early 1930s, when they started to develop that part of the road. So there we go. History is all around you, folks. We've totally missed a huge part of history here in Hong Kong. So let's go under the bridge, because right under the bridge you can see this calligraphy artwork. And this is by a very famous Hong Kong artist from many, many years ago. So let's find out all about the King of Kowloon, also known as the Emperor of Kowloon.
Tsou-choi, known as the Emperor of Kowloon, was a unique figure here in Hong Kong's urban landscape from the 1950s until his death in 2007. His distinctive calligraphy, characterized by a chaotic mix of Chinese characters and Arabic numerals, covered various public services across the city, particularly here in Kowloon. Tsang claimed to be the rightful ruler of Kowloon, asserting that his ancestors had been granted the land during the Zhou dynasty. This belief drove him to proclaim his sovereignty through his writings, which often included accusations against the British government and later critiques of the Chinese government after the handover in 1997. Despite his lack of formal education and frequent encounters with law enforcement due to his vandalism, Tsang's work evolved into a cultural phenomenon, blending elements of outsider art and protest. Over time, his legacy grew beyond mere graffiti. He became an icon of Hong Kong's culture. His story inspired various artistic expressions, including television shows and songs by local bands. In recent years, his works have been exhibited in galleries highlighting their artistic value and historical significance. The M+ Museum in Hong Kong has even collected several pieces of his work, recognizing him as a pioneer of Hong Kong street art.
Wow, check out this place. This is the Yuen Street Bird Garden. Never been here before. And all these stores selling budgerigars, canaries, little birds. Oh wow, this is cool. If you are in Hong Kong, get yourself down here. Look at these birds. This is fantastic. Haven't really studied the history on this one, so if you know anything about this bird garden, let me know in the comments below. Marvellous. Yo, Yuen Street Bird Garden, and right behind it here, we might hear some more screeching and shouting and squawking because that is Mong Kok Stadium, one of the biggest stadiums here, home to many football teams on a weekend, although not today because I can't hear anyone. And that used to be playing fields. All of this area, in fact, this part of Boundary Street, both north and south, used to be playing grounds for decades and decades, right up until the 1940s, 50s, either side. Further to the west, we had a polo ground, we had the police club, we've still got the police club and their grounds, and of course we've got the stadium here too. Let's see a game of hockey on there today. On the other side, my son plays rugby over there. To thriving sports there. They're still big here in Hong Kong, both hockey and rugby, football also big. And then if you can see behind, there's a slight hill, that's the old Sham Shui Po reservoir there, service reservoir, and that is now a tourist attraction. It looks like a Roman underground cavern. So we'll go there at some point, but it was a service reservoir within the last 100 or so years, so not quite Roman. I don't think the Romans ever got to Hong Kong. If you know any different, write it in the comments below. Right. Oh yeah, that was the polo ground as well. Remember I just said the polo ground, so that was the polo ground, hence why it's still a lovely playing surface over there. Huge expanse of land. And then the police club is just behind there still. The police club for, I believe, all, let's get this right, there are officer clubs here in Hong Kong, but I believe that club here just north of Boundary Street is open to all police officers to use in their free time to keep fit and have a nice meal after work. One street down from Boundary Road is Playing-field Road. I wonder why they called it that. Interesting. Tons of playing fields around, but I didn't want to show you that. I did, but I also want to show you this. Now this is the start of the flower market here in Hong Kong. The flower market is huge here. We are in sort of the top end of Mong Kok, Prince Edward now. And for streets all around, you can buy your plants, your seeds, anything to do with the garden. We've got a goldfish market close by as well. Now this started again back in the 1920s, 30s when this area started to be developed. Apparently at night time, villagers from the new territories would come down and sell their flowers to the business people here in northern Mong Kok, Prince Edward area. Because that apparently, especially in the summertime, that was the best time to cut the flowers because it's so hot here. Right, let's leave the flower market and head back to Boundary Street. And as we leave the flower market, I've got to point out two more things. History's all around you, folks. First of all, this queue behind. This is the queue for one dim sum. Very affordable, really good, really yummy dim sum here in Hong Kong. So do check that out if you're here. And also on the other side of the road, we won't go past it today, but 1925 it says on top, that is the old Mong Kok police station. I'm sure we'll go there when we do our police series coming up probably next year. Right, off we go. Another petrol station here, and the Seventh-day Adventist Church here, built in 1950. Try and get across this road because not a lot of places to cross here on Boundary Street, and right behind me is the police club. Right behind me here is the police club here, and right behind the police club is a hill, and on that hill back in the 1950s was a shanty town at Shek Kip Mei, and on December 23rd, 1953, that shanty town with over 50,000 people living in it burnt to the ground. Only two people died remarkably, but 53 people left homeless. So Governor Grantham at the time put a housing project together and built new housing projects all over Hong Kong to rehouse not only these people, but people who were living in shanty towns all over Hong Kong which were susceptible to fire. Now crossing another busy thoroughfare. This is Nathan Road, named after the 13th Governor, Sir Matthew Nathan. This one heads all the way down to the waterfront in TST. Now this area of Hong Kong that we're coming into now, this western part of Boundary Street, this is the oldest part. This is thought to have been born in the late 1800s, maybe 1898, 1899, the first streets at this part of the road started to be laid out. And then we've got sort of Sham Shui Po, which is this area here, which started to be built in the early 20th century, very much in a block formation. So let's see if we can find anything on this final stretch westward on Boundary Street. Boundary Street, there it is. Definitely a different vibe down here at the western end. All the streets are a lot more compact, tight together. The buildings are a lot older. All these streets actually around here named after trees. We've got Poplar Street, Maple Street, Oak Street. So yeah, lots of tree streets all around here. Now we've just crossed Lai Chi Kok Road there, and now we are on reclaimed land for sure. Lots of land has been reclaimed here in Hong Kong going back over 100 years. This was reclaimed back in the 1920s. Tai Kok Choi, just south of here, the hill was quarried out, and the rocks from there were brought along actually on a steam train, a temporary steam rail line up here, and put into the sea just off the west here to form what is now Sham Shui Po, and we'll talk more about that in the Sham Shui Po episode early next year. We're nearly at the end of Boundary Street, and I've never ever been here before. Check out this. Who lives behind that gate? Someone does. Property's so expensive here. Who lives behind a gate like that? David, it's over to you. Now, right at the very end, we've got the Kwan Tai Temple. This would have been built on reclaimed land back in the 1890s and probably would have been on the waterfront at the time, and now subsequent reclamations have pushed it well back from the ocean. But I just found a fact out. Now apparently with Boundary Street, which is here, if you're south of Boundary Street, because it was given in perpetuity by the British gave out leases of 999 years. Whereas if you are north of Boundary Street, such as this temple and all the streets north of here, then you have a lease on your land that goes up until July 1st, 2047, when the One Country, Two Systems comes to an end. Is that true? Are you still going to get 999 years on your lease if you're living south of here? Lucky you if you are. Right, we are nearly there. Let's go. One street over, we have Shek Kip Mei Street, and here the famous Tsang restaurant is all over YouTube. It's not open right now, it doesn't open until 4:30. We can see it here, getting ready, getting all the food ready. It's still 3 hours before it opens, but we will definitely be back. Look at that, we've got the pot on the go there, getting ready for tonight. Amazing food. What have we got? We've got different fish going on. The ladies are preparing the fish. Very, very busy. So restaurants don't just open and start at the same time. They are working all day to get your food ready, and they will be open all night. Look at it, all the produce in the alleyway here, getting cleaned, everything ready, and some cold beers in the fridge. Right, we are nearly there. Let's keep going. And here it is. We have made it to the source of Boundary Street. Some explorers find the source of the Nile or the source of the Thames. No, Coastal Explorers goes one further. He finds the source of Boundary Street here in Hong Kong, and it is aptly right outside a Goodyear tyre shop. Goodyear, big factory in my hometown of Wolverhampton. Hope you enjoyed walking along Boundary Street from one end to the other. I'll put how many kilometres it is on the screen. Join me next time when we take another glorious walk around Hong Kong. Oh, and we've got Tigers of Hong Kong coming up very, very soon. So don't forget to like and subscribe so you get to see all the content. Bye now from Boundary Street. The end or the start. One of the two. Bye for now.